You can also go directly to Natalie's website, which is nataliemclean.com. And are you ready to start?
Absolutely.
Okay, we're going to start with Kate. Hi there, Kate.
Hi, yes, I'm celebrating a 10th anniversary with my husband this year, wedding anniversary.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And I was looking to give him a gift for the cellar, so to speak, something that would either cellar for another 10 years or something that's already been cellared 10 years that would make a special gift. I'm wondering if you had any thoughts and ideas on that.
Absolutely. You're fortunate in the timing because the 2000 Bordeaux, which are still on the market, and they're coming again, out again this weekend, in the vintages release. Excellent vintage. Some of the critics, the wine critics, are declaring it vintage of the century, which is pretty optimistic given, we're 4 years in. But no matter. They will age for about, a good 15, maybe even 20 years. That's one option. So Bordeaux 2000, and I've got specific wine picks on my site, as you mentioned, Leanne. The other thing is port. Port is a long-term has long-term aging potential. So it's a fortified wine. It's got, extra alcohol and sugar in it, but it's a gorgeous after-dinner drink. And so if you go for a tawny port or a vintage port, you can't go wrong there either.
There you go. Well, happy anniversary.
Great, thanks.
We may have lots more. We have Michael on the line. Hi there, Michael.
This is Mike here.
Hi, Mike. Your question for Natalie.
Yes, Natalie. My family does sort of a non-traditional Thanksgiving meal, which is roast pork and applesauce.
Yum.
I wonder if you could recommend sort of a wine that would match that portion anyway.
Sure, that sounds like a fabulous dinner.
I think you made Natalie hungry there.
I know, it's lunchtime. So I would suggest an off-dry wine, an off-dry Riesling. Vineland Estates from Niagara makes a lovely off-dry Riesling, as does Cave Springs, and they're usually on the general list, meaning they're usually in the stores year-round. So that's what I would do on the white. On the reds, I would go for a really fruity, young red, like a Beaujolais from Georges Duboeuf from France, or maybe even a Zinfandel with lots of berry character. So that would probably match.
Could you name the whites again for Mike?
Oh, sure. It's Vineland Estates. An off-dry Riesling, meaning just a touch of sweetness. That's going to go lovely with the dinner he's describing. And that's from Niagara. Another one from Niagara is Cave Spring. And they're both on the shelves now.
Have a wonderful Thanksgiving, Mike. We have Lynn on the line. Hi there, Lynn. And before we get to Lynn, you recommend a ton of Canadian wines.
Yes, I do. I'm a big believer in Canadian wines. A, because they're great, they're well made, and B, because they are some of the best values out there. Because they are made here in the country, we're getting a super deal price-wise.
Oh, really? See, some people consider Canadian wines more expensive.
Ah, okay. Well, no, in fact, for what they are in terms of the quality, if you go and compare them to comparable bottles from other countries, generally you've got the better deal with the Canadian wine.
That's interesting. Yeah. We have Lynn. Lynn, was that your question?
No, it wasn't actually.
What is your question?
Hi. I've just recently moved back to Canada from Greece, and I was really surprised when I went to the liquor stores that there are very few, or some stores have no Greek wines.
Right.
There's some really fabulous wines from the island of Santorini or Naxos, and I was just wondering, is there any particular reason why we don't have them?
That's nothing to opa about, hey, Lynn?
Yeah.
Right. Some countries tend to drink most of their wine. It depends on how large a producer the country is. So if you look at Spain, Italy, and France, they produce a lot more than they can consume at home. But a country like Greece may well, and my assumption would be that they're drinking a lot of their wines domestically, and often they're drinking their best wines domestically. But we still do have some, but I agree that the selection in the stores isn't large, but once a month the LCBO does release a special selection of wines. They're limited, they're not as many in that selection, but you will find the Greek wines in those special releases once a month.
So make a friend in the vintages area.
Yes.
Thanks for your call. We have Leslie on the line. Hi there, Leslie. Leslie.
Hi.
Oh, your question for Natalie.
Yeah, I was wondering, I usually decant a red wine, and what would be the optimal time to decant a red wine?
Great question, Leslie. It depends on how you like your wine and what the wine is. If it's a really tight, full-bodied wine and you want to smooth it out, the air is going to help with that. So a longer decanting period, meaning an hour, 2 hours, maybe 3 hours. The way I judge is I take a little sip from the bottle first, and if it's really furry, like when you get a tannic tea and You do that, and it just bunches up your mouth. Then you probably want to leave it in the decanter on the longer side of the spectrum, so like up to 3 hours perhaps. But if it's just drinking nicely, probably open up in half an hour, an hour.
You're so expressive. Have you ever heard it described as furry before, Leslie?
Super.
There you go.
Okay,
Thanks for
good.
your call. We have Laura on the line. Hi there, Laura. We're trying to get to as many callers as possible. Laura, your question for Natalie.
Hello. I just wanted to know if Natalie have ever tried the wines from Nova Scotia from the Josh Winery in Manitoba.
Funny you should say that because
Funny.
you're speaking to two Nova Scotian girls here, Laura.
Yeah, we're both from Nova Scotia, and I have been to the winery, and I've been to the other wineries in Nova Scotia that are open right now, and I love their whites from Joust. The Rieslings that they do, and they have an award-winning ice wine actually from that winery. So they're super, and I just wish we could get them up here in Canada, but when you go to Nova Scotia and visit, be sure to pick up a bottle there.
You mean Upper Canada, hey?
Yeah, that's true.
We're going to
That's true.
Debbie on the line. Thanks for your call, Laura. Great
Yes.
point. We have Debbie. Hello. Your
Hello.
question for Natalie.
Yes, I bought a bottle of Mum's champagne for my parents 32 years ago,
Wow.
and it's never been opened.
Okay.
And when it's been lying on its side all that time,
Right.
but when one looks into it, it looks like there's pieces of cork and maybe some scum inside.
Ooh, cork and
Okay.
scum. That
What
never
may I,
sounds good.
what could I do about that?
Oh, well, you could try when you pour it off if you think it needs to be strained. I'm not sure what if it's bits of cork or if it's tartrates, little particles that form in especially a white wine like champagne. It's hard to say what it is. It could be just sediment that fell to
Yes.
the bottom, like that's fallen out of the wine, and that's normal, and it doesn't hurt the wine.
I
So
see.
you just might want to, pour carefully, pour slowly, and when you see that stuff getting close to the end of the bottle, stop, and that might do it.
Right, it wouldn't
Yeah.
be the cork residue. then.
Yeah, it could be. It's
Yeah,
hard to
cork
know without
plus.
seeing it, but it sounds like it could be okay.
But it's still a great story. 32-year-old bottle
Sure,
of Mum.
absolutely.
That's something to toast with. We want to thank you all for your calls. Great questions. And once again, there it is. Natalie's website is right there with her top picks and lots of her great columns from all over. So
Great.
thanks a lot
Okay.
for joining us.
Oh, thanks, Leanne. Great.